Why is it that oftentimes for our students, division is so much more difficult than multiplication? Here are just a few of the reasons. Oftentimes our students don't really understand what division means. They're just learning it through memorization. And we know that memorization is a poor substitute for understanding because it's not something that we can depend upon as well as understanding. Another reason is that division is not commutative like multiplication is. Also, we spend a lot of time having our students learn their multiplication facts, but are we able to give equal time for the division facts, teaching them how to flip that around? And it's really just a matter of time, isn't it? You know, in my ideal world, I would have over 2 hours a day for language arts and then a full 2 hours for math. That is my dream. And then also, there's the issue of the remainder. When we multiply whole numbers, we'll always end up with a whole number. The same isn't true for division because there will often be those remainders. So these are some of the reasons that our students find division more complex. Oh, there's another reason. There are more steps in division than in multiplication. If you were to count the steps involved in both, it's quite different. I know that in your classroom, you are teaching your students probably how to turn a division problem into a multiplication problem. They know that 7 times 6 is 42, but you can change that if it's, 42 divided by 7. You can say, 7 times what is 42? And I found a game that helps us with that skill. And it comes to us from this book called All Hands on Deck by the Boxcar and One-Eyed Jack people. And if you buy this game now, it will be much larger than my game. But it's called The Missing Facts. But I've changed it in my classroom to be called The Missing Factors because you'll see that it's really factors that are missing. To play this game, they'll need to practice this skill. 7 times what is 56? And, I think I must have the worst algebra story ever. I don't know anyone who has a worse algebra story than me. In 8th grade, my teacher, I think I know why he did it. He probably saw the varied levels of his class and he thought, I cannot teach this scope at one time. And so he decided to have us all move through the book at our own pace. And there were no lessons. We just moved through, and if we came to a place we needed help, we were to go to him and he would help us. For some, that probably worked beautifully. For someone like me, it was a disaster. And then I moved right into 9th grade Algebra 1, and I flunked out by the end of October. The principal had to call my mom and say, Mrs. Page, this is not a good class for Deneen. It was very traumatic for me, so I don't want that to happen to any of my students. So I try to throw in algebra little tidbits whenever I can. And in this is a case where I do it. I tell them, really, this is an algebra problem. You've been doing algebra for a long time already. What if we were to make this a box? Would you still know what the answer is? What if I were to take this away and make it a symbol, put a star? Would you still know what that is? What if I were to take that star away and put a letter? Would you know what it is? And they quickly can see the concept of the unknown. And then I take it one step even farther when I show them that soon multiplication won't look like this anymore, and I explain that the X gets confusing with the multiplication symbol. So I teach them that this is what they have to look forward to in what multiplication will look like. So in this game, they'll only need cards and a whiteboard or a paper and pencil. And I use the Boxcar and One-Eyed Jack cards, and they come with their little hands, and I just put a stack in their hands. And they can pull out the zeros and ones if they like. We did, because they know those so well. But it's a pair game, and each partner is going to create a board with 10 equations, multiplication equations. And I asked them if they wanted to do it on whiteboards or paper, and they all wanted whiteboards. Some did it even on their desk with a dry erase pen. But we were able to fit 10 on the whiteboard. I just didn't because I want it to be nice and big for you. But I'm making a board for you, and you are making a board for me. and like this. And I had them flip where they put the missing factor. So then once our boards are ready, oh, and you know what? Jane and Sophia didn't want to do it on the board. We had just erased our whiteboard for the start of the new month. It was all fresh and clean, and they asked if they could go to the big whiteboard and work together up there. And you know, it made me so happy because it showed me how confident they felt that they were willing to be there for all to see. And they just had so much fun and were so excited to do it on the big whiteboard. So maybe if you have available whiteboard space, some of your students would like to do it up there too. Sometimes bigger the space is better. So now that our boards are ready, we switch with each other. So I have the board you made for me, and you have the board that I've made for you. And then we have a pile of our little cards and we start drawing. So let's say I have the board that you made for me and I drew an 8, and I can see where I can put an 8 both here and here in those two places. And then it's your turn to draw and see where you can fill in. And I had them fill in the actual numbers. This pen isn't working, but you can see what I mean. And then when we drew the boxcar, Kaylee was my partner. And what we came up with was something special for the boxcar. So say it was my turn and I wanted this to be a 12. So I would be able to mark off my 12 here and here. But with it being the boxcar, we decided that both of us would get to mark off our 12. So it was a bonus for each of us. And at the end of our game, I shared this with my class, and 2 other students raised their hand excitedly and said, "We made a rule for the boxcar too." And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was that they came up with it, but it was something that was equally wonderful, and I'm hoping that others will try that next time we play it. I'm finding that the more that I play games, the more I'm comfortable with having students change the rules and make them more challenging or more engaging for them, and it really gives them a sense of ownership, you know, when they can see that they can change the rules. And I have yet to see them make a rule that makes it less of a game. They always make it so that it makes it even a better game, a more wonderful game. So this is what we've been doing this week to practice our multiplication and division fluency, and I hope that you will find it useful in your classroom too. In the words of the scaffolded teacher from Instagram and Mrs. Crossgrove, who brought this to my attention at my school, what does it take to be a math person? 1, be a person. 2, do some math. And I look forward to doing some math with you again soon.